24-hour News 8 is learning tonight 3 deadly shootings are being connected to the X train in Kalamazoo. The X train is long lines of cars snaking through the streets well after midnight, blaring music.
That X train's been going on for years, but the murders started last summer, and police are telling us tonight this problem is getting worse.
24-hour News 8's Mark Thompson is live in Kalamazoo right now with more on the story. Mark?
A lot of those groups will gather here at the corner of Westnedge and Michigan at the gas station you see here behind me before they hit the side streets in the neighborhoods. Now, we want to point out that these are not teenagers we're talking about. These are adults doing this, many of them in their 30s. The name X-Train comes from the drug ecstasy, many of those drivers using it to stay up. But police say that it's not necessarily the cruising activity that's violent. They say it's the spin-off activity that's not only dangerous, but is proving deadly. This is video shot by Tommy Emory. Emory was convicted last Friday of second-degree murder for killing 2 people outside his home in Kalamazoo last August. Emory placed the cameras outside his house because he says the X-Trains were coming through the neighborhood at all times of night, playing loud music and disturbing his peace. His lawyer, Jason Ronning, is describing the video.
This looks like it's about maybe between 10 and 15 cars. We've heard reports that they can get up to anywhere to 100 cars.
In fact, Emory says it was an X-Train that woke him up at 4:30 in the morning the night of the shooting. The eventual victims riding in the first 2 cars of the train.
When they pull over in front of Mr. Emory's house, those are the 2 deceased vehicles.
An argument ensued and Emory shot and killed the 2 cruisers. And while he's certainly not condoning the violence, Ronning argued during the trial that it was the atmosphere the X-Train created that caused his client to snap.
We spent a large portion of our trial trying to explain the context of the neighborhood that Mr. Emory lived in and what he was feeling, why he would have reacted the way he did.
This is also video that came out during the trial. Ronning says it was shot by police who were sent out to document the X-Train problem. It clearly shows long lines of cars cruising the side streets and congregating at gas stations. Ronning argues that police aren't doing enough to stop the X-Train problem and says last week's deadly shooting of 39-year-old Tiffany Ayers shows the problem is getting worse. Ayers was shot in the area of Westnedge and Florence, and police confirmed she may have been riding in an X-Train earlier that night.
We do know she had some indirect involvement.
And Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety Chief Jeff Hadley says they've been aware and on top of the cruising problem for years.
We've done enforcement. We've made arrests. We've made drug arrests. We've wrote traffic citations. We've taken guns out of vehicles. We've done all that.
But the problem, Chief Hadley says, is the cruisers are using technology like Twitter to set up these so-called X-Trains at a moment's notice.
Which makes us very reactive in terms of how we can try to address it and mitigate it.
And even in this video, you can clearly see police are on the scene. In fact, in both deadly shooting cases, officers were just blocks away with lights on trying to break up the X-Train crowds.
People are brazen, and us being only a block or 2 away doesn't seem to impact some folks' behaviors.
And that's why Chief Hadley says they will now be stepping up more strict enforcement and also working with leaders in the community to try and crack down on this problem. He says these neighborhoods do not deserve it, and they will get the job done. We're live in Kalamazoo tonight. Mark Thompson, 24-hour News 8.